Hello, nice to meet you here online. I'm going to talk about the 1000-liter microbial fuel cell that was installed in a wastewater treatment plant close to our laboratory. It was started with an acclimatization phase of about 4 months and then operated for 12 months in this wastewater treatment plant. Here on this slide you can see the wastewater treatment plant we work for. It's a 50,000 people equivalence of wastewater treatment installation. And in this installation we have open ponds that are aerated. And for this type of wastewater treatment, microbial fuel cells are an option because we can save electricity. On this installation it would be 70% of the electricity used could be saved and electricity produced in addition. And besides this, also less air pollution would result as there is less stripping of components, volatile components, into the air. And CO2 could be recovered. That was not realized in this project. 1000-liter microbial fuel cell consisted of 64 microbial fuel cell units, each one connected to a computer and operated by homemade software. 4 of such units in line were connected in parallel, representing one microbial fuel cell. 4 of such microbial fuel cells were arranged as a serial stack and charged a lithium battery. Wastewater came in from the left side and flowed through the whole system to the outer side as purified water. The purification, of course, increased with this distance, and in each of the 4 stacks less and less power was produced. The microbial fuel cell was constructed or prefabricated in parts and then transported to the wastewater treatment plant. Here we are on the upper deck of the aeration ponds. Here you can also see Eric, who was the construction manager, and through this hole all this material was transported down in this cellar or cave below the treatment ponds, and the temperature in this area was in the winter 10 degrees Celsius and in the summer 20 degrees Celsius, identically to the wastewater. Through this tube, wastewater came in and went then into the first sector of the microbial fuel cell, so the first stack, and wastewater flow in this direction to sort at the end as purified water. On the upper side here is the electronics and the lines to the computers. Polarization experiments showed the possible power density of the microbial fuel cell. Here in the beginning, we have the acclimatization phase where the reactor was operated against an external load of 1000 ohm, and after 4 months, a maximum power point tracker was installed and the system's performance increased considerably. Now wastewater came in from the left side and became then purified to sort on the other side, purified. And therefore here less power was producible. In this figure we have power from the 4 stacks on the maximum power point tracking. On the maximum power point tracking we had 50% less of power than predicted by polarization experiments. In the first quart, of course, much more power was produced because wastewater came in from this side and went in through the whole stack. In the second quart, we still have some good power produced. In the third, less, equally in the fourth, because wastewater becomes more and more purified. The power in milliwatt were transformed usually into watt hours or kilowatt hours, a unit that is easier to communicate in most contexts. We were equally interested what microbes actually do the job in our microbial fuel cell, and for this 16S analytical method was used to find top genera. You see here the numbers 1 to 16. That means there are 16 samples from one line of the microbial fuel cell. And the most active genera or gene was Geobacter and some hydrolytic microbes, while nitrification and denitrification microbes were not active in the beginning, but started to collaborate with the Geobacter when the COD was already quite well degraded. This picture repeated itself for the line 2, 3, and 4. Finally, we can say we have a kind of two-stomach microbial fuel cell. In the beginning, there is the digestion and energy production, and then later on, the more detailed refinement of pollutants that degrade not that fast, and denitrification, nitrification, and desulfurization. Voltage reversals in serial microbial fuel cell stacks are a notorious issue, and we have a great respect of it, although we knew from preliminary work on a 12-liter microbial fuel cell stack that such a system can be balanced without using a diode or another control system. Now, in fact, in the first half year of processing the microbial fuel cell, here the first card, no voltage reversal occurred. And then a first reversal occurred here with the green line, but it was self-healing or self-resolving. At the same time, then came the black cell reversed, but was also resolving. And then there's a period again where no significant low voltage occurred. The same picture can be seen in the second card. Here, mostly the red unit was in reversal, and later we have an exchange and sometimes also two lines reversed to some degree. But overall, all reversals resolved themselves, and they were not occurring just, for example, in the red or in the black units that are the periphery of the stack. All these observations are finally a positive result, because when such a system becomes better equilibrated, voltage reversals are no longer an issue. Producible power depends also on temperature and COD, what change all the time in the wastewater treatment plant. In the winter, the lowest temperature was 10 degrees Celsius, and in the summer 20 degrees Celsius. So 10 degrees Celsius means a doubling of the kinetic rate. And one can see this phenomenon here. In February, the ratio between COD and power was 1 to 1, and in the summer, July, it was about 1 to 2, and again in the winter one can see a ratio that comes closer to 1 to 1. In addition, in the summer we had a dilution effect by rainfall. There was more rainfall, so the COD became more and more diluted because the speed of the anolyte, so the wastewater in the anodes, remained the same all year long. And then there are many things that happen during the power production, including the wastewater treatment plant itself. There are revisions needed, there are problems that has to be solved, so there's always something going on, and when you look at the data, it's better to keep this in mind. So, but one of the biggest problems for microbial fuel cells is the dilution itself. So wastewater in itself is quite diluted. And when there was rainfall, it was even more diluted. So for example, here, this day 3 is a wetness day. On Wednesday, the best powers are producible at noon. And then there was heavy rainfall during the day, and it diluted the power production quite a lot, and it did not recover that fast, and also during the weekend not, but the weekend was in general a low production phase because the city or the town here is a service town. There are not too many people in town during weekends, and then in the middle of the week we have the highest power, and there are day-night cycles that change considerable, and but also from week to week one has other profiles in the power generation. Most important conclusions are that a wastewater microbial fuel cell can be operated for more than 12 months. COD removal is not an issue, and there was bi-sectorial digestion where electrogens dominated in the beginning. Voltage reversals were manageable, and the serial stack produced useful powers. Finally, I would like to thank my collaborators, the funding sources, and I thank you that you stayed until to the end in this presentation.